Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak on Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's thought and his legacy. Whole country, the world are celebrating the birth anniversary of Baba Sahib Bhimrao Ambedkar, and I pay my tribute to this great Masiha of downtrodden, the man who stood for the emancipation of women. I was planning to speak on the general political thought of Dr. Ambedkar, but I was asked that why don't you speak on what Ambedkar has thought about women question. So I agreed, and in today's presentation I'll be talking about how Dr. Ambedkar has looked at the questions of women. Friends, generally Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar is understood to be a scholar who is confined to only caste. Earlier even he was not looked at as a sociologist, as a thinker, as a philosopher on caste. He was seen as a politician of the depressed classes. And I have read a book by well-known Marxist scholar on the history of Sudra, and in the introduction he referred to Baba Sahib Ambedkar, and if I remember it correctly, the politician of the depressed classes, as if that Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar has not much knowledge about the nuances of history. So there was a time when Dr. Ambedkar was really reduced to be a leader of a very minute section. But now time is changing, and with the coming of Dalits and Bahujans to university, to colleges, the discourse is changing. And even we have seen that Ambedkarite organizations are becoming very powerful at many places. They may be working formally, informally, silently, they may be vocal, but the presence is there. So Dr. Ambedkar, my first understanding is that Dr. Ambedkar is a complete, is a philosopher, he is a thinker, he is an activist who has to say on many issues that are still here, that are still not solved in our society, and that is why Dr. Ambedkar remains relevant till today, and perhaps he is more relevant today in this difficult time. The first thing we have to keep in mind that Dr. Ambedkar's idea of caste and his concern for eradication of caste inequality, his concern for annihilation of caste cannot be understood if you fail to look at the question of gender. Generally it is being understood by the liberal scholar that Dr. Ambedkar was fighting for getting some Dalits incorporated at some public places, if they get some jobs in railways, or maybe they become some officers, some politicians. I think Ambedkar's legacy is complete and caste is gone. But this is not like that. The caste analysis cannot be understood unless you pay great attention to the question of gender and the question of women. How women has been made slave in this caste society. So interdining, when we eat food, when we share food, when we break breads, and when we do intermarriage with people from different castes, these are the two very important strategies to break caste hierarchy and to achieve universal egalitarian society. Now generally it is being argued that people are marrying, intercaste is happening, caste is disappearing at elite places, at modern places, but I would not be agreeing with such kind of view. I remember it that in 1999, I think 25 years back, M.N. Srinivas, well-known sociologist, has written a piece and he has said that caste is dead. But recently, I have done an interview with JNUSU leader who has been elected recently as the Joint Secretary, Priyanshi Arya. And Priyanshi Arya belongs to General Secretary. She is General Secretary. So I asked the same question. You have studied at Delhi University. Do you see any change as far as the caste structure is concerned? And the interview took place not years back, week ago. And she has said no. Discrimination is not there. The form may be very different. So the point is, it is very easy for the so-called modernists to say that caste is disappearing, but caste is not disappearing. I would argue that the form of caste discrimination may be changing, but caste is not disappearing. There is another very important leader, Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia. And Ram Manohar Lohia has said that caste can be denied in multiple ways. Caste inequalities can be denied in through several strategies. For example, I can say caste is very good because it is there in a scripture. For my fathers and the society have been following caste. What is wrong with the caste? This is one way of defending caste that would be very brute. That kind of language is not seen today. But there would be much more sophisticated way of defending caste, where I would say, I don't believe in caste. Caste is very bad thing. I share food with people from the different caste. And in my family, even the lower caste can come and can eat. But when it comes to merit, when it comes to giving admission, when it comes to giving jobs, when it comes to giving opportunity, then what will I will do if I am a casteist? I will not say that there is a caste criterion. I would say that I believe in merit, and whosoever is meritorious will get the job. So what is happening, that merit has taken the form of caste discrimination. Merit is another name of caste discrimination. And one could ask, what is this merit? If I cannot speak English language, does it mean that I am not meritorious? There are many philosophers who have done revolution, who have changed the lives of millions of people, and they were not great scholars of English literature. They were not speaking English. Similarly, merit is maintained through network. If you know people, you get opportunity. So Lohia has said that opportunity is very important, and merit flows from opportunity. So the point is that caste is being denied, and if you look at modern society, you will find that the form of the caste discrimination is changing, but caste discrimination is being practiced. And if it were not the case, Rohit Vemula might not have been forced to commit suicide. So there are many Ambedkarite organizations at multiple universities and colleges. They are saying when they go for interview, they are given less marks. There is a sociological work done by well-known sociologists, and in that study, if a person with upper caste surname, if that person gives resume to any company with a similar qualification, he is likely to get job easily. But if a person whose surname is not very loud, that you could make out that he is upper caste, or maybe that his surname is as such that you could make out that he is a lower caste or he is a Dalit, his chances, despite the fact that the person has the same level of qualification, he would not get the job. So the point is that caste should be done away with. Why caste should be done away with? Because caste is not good for anything. It is not good for even market. It is not good for even free mobility of the labor. It is not good for the egalitarian society. It is not good for the brotherhood. And that is why Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar has said that caste cannot be done away just because you think that caste is disappearing and you think that a few people could be given jobs and caste will be over. No, caste can only be eradicated when we have what? The first strategy would be when we share food. And sharing food, sociologists would tell you that sharing food is not so easy job. If you share food with somebody, you develop some kind of fraternity with that person. When you enter into marriage and love, then you break the caste hierarchy. And here Ambedkar in his life, if you read his book, his essay, Annihilation of Caste, he has said very clearly, he wrote this paper, Annihilation of Caste, as part of his term paper, I think long back, around 1915 or 16, and in that paper he has said it very clearly. That paper is available, you can read it. In that paper he has said very clearly, caste as an institution emerged when the upper caste stopped marrying women from the lower caste. So the gender question is very, very central. When Dr. Ambedkar wrote around 1935 the book, the pamphlet, Annihilation of Caste, which was not allowed to be read out by the Arya Samaj, in that book he is also referring to scriptures, and he is saying that how scriptures are against the rights of the women. And in 1950, Ambedkar wrote another important article, that is, and the name of the article is The Rise and the Fall of the Hindu Women. These all readings are available on internet. They are in Hindi, they are in English. You should read it. And in that paper, Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar has said that it is wrong to say that Buddhism is responsible for the decline of, let's say, Hindu society or India. It is wrong to say that stagnation emerged in Indian society because of Buddhism. It is wrong to say that Buddha was against women. It is wrong to say that Buddha did not treat women equally. It is wrong to say that Buddha treated women inferior. So, having refuted the Brahmanical counter-revolutionary allegations, Dr. Ambedkar has said, look at the women questions in India. And he said that during the Vedic period, what was the case? During the Vedic period, the Shastras, the scriptures were indeed against the rights of the women. But at that time, those ideas were at the level of social theory. But what has happened, that when Buddhism rose, when Buddhism became a force, and Sudra and women went to Buddhism, they went to embrace Buddhism, they felt emancipated by getting close to Buddhism. Then the Brahmanical intellectuals believed, that now we have to do something else to stop the mobility of the women. And what has happened, that the social code, the Manu's Dharma, the Manu's social codes came out later just to stop the mobility of the Sudras and the mobility of the women. So the point, what I am trying to say through Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, unless the women questions is addressed, unless the caste is seen through gender lens, the annihilation of caste cannot be complete. And the last thing I would like to say, feminism is very revolutionary idea, but feminism without looking at caste and race would not be complete. Feminism is not all about getting some jobs and making women visible, but feminism, the true feminism, the revolutionary feminism, is one which is raising the question of sexuality, which is raising the questions of marriage, which is raising discrimination at the private level. And that is why Dalit Bahujan thinkers, the Dalit feminists, are equal partners in feminist discourse. On this note, I would like to stop here, and I thank you, all of you, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.